Welcome to Fantasy Sports Daily, powered by FantasyGuru.com. Monday through Friday at 12 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, 9 a.m. Pacific. Ray Flowers breaks it all down for you from a fantasy sports perspective. Hey there, everyone. Welcome to Fantasy Sports Daily, powered by FantasyGuru.com. I am your host, Ray Flowers. Thanks for joining me today, as you hopefully do every day, Monday through Friday at about 12 o'clock Eastern Standard Time. We go about an hour a day. You know, yesterday we went a little bit more. Today, who knows? Maybe we'll go a little bit less, a little bit more. We don't know. We go about an hour. Then you get about an hour break here. And then from 2 to 5 Eastern Time, you obviously go to SiriusXM Fantasy Sports Radio and listen to the Elite Sports Show, right? With Jeff Mans. That's what you should be doing. I'm here with you on this show Monday, Tuesday, Thursday, Friday. On Wednesdays, I'm with Jeff on his show. So hopefully that's kind of your schedule. It is a Friday. We talked to Tyler Beaker yesterday on the show, as we do every Thursday. And Tyler mentioned the fact that the DFS live stream is tonight over at fantasyguru.com. So you want to check that out. Talking about wanting to check products out at fantasyguru.com. We're in week 2. Plenty of season left. In fact, the season just began. Maybe it hasn't gone as expected. Maybe you started out with the wagering thing and now you want to do some DFS. Maybe you started in seasonal and you want to do DFS too. Send a note to support at fantasyguru.com if you've got any questions. You can always click the subscribe tab in the top right corner of the page. Really simple. Just click that subscribe tab, get signed up for 1 football product, 2 football products, all football products. Become a VIP Platinum member and get everything we do. All sports, every article, live stream, all that discussion, everything. VIP Platinum, send a note to support at fantasyguru.com. Many ways to watch the show today. Before we do that, let me throw the plan up on the screen. That's right on the screen. For those of you that don't know, there's 3 places you can watch the show live. Facebook.com/FantasyGuruHQ, Twitter X @FantasyGuruSite, YouTube.com/@ElitePlusNetwork. In those 3 places, you can watch live or anytime on demand, because obviously we store them there. But you can watch live, and not only can you watch live in those 3 places, you can leave comments and questions that we can address throughout the show. There's also 2 other ways to listen, 2 simple ways. You can go to fantasyguru.com and just click at the toolbar at the top of the page, the Elite Plus tab. Finds all the shows on the Fantasy Sports Network, including this one. And you can just type in Fantasy Sports Daily to your local podcast situation, wherever that might be, Spotify, Apple Music, iTunes, whatever it might be. They call it iTunes anymore, Apple Music, whatever the hell it's called. Just type in Fantasy Sports Daily, and you should be able to find out what we're doing here. As you can see on the screen, we're going to talk baseball for the first half of the show, football for the second half of the show. Today it's a Friday, so in about 25 minutes, we'll visit with Russell J. Clay of FantasyGuru.com. He's our dynasty guy. He also covers college football. He hosts the show on Sunday night with Justin Fensman on SiriusXM Fantasy Sports Radio at 6 o'clock Eastern Standard Time. We're going to talk about Thursday Night Football, what went down between the Commanders and the Packers. We'll talk about that situation in detail. We'll talk about the 49ers, the backfield with the Browns. Xavier Worthy, and Jordan Addison. Who do we want here moving forward? And we'll also talk about running back roulette. And I just want to say for a second here, I know that not everyone uses Discord, and I know that it's not necessarily a representation of what all of you listeners are doing, but a lot of you are doing this wrong. And I want to talk in some detail with this, with Russell Clay through this idea. I've said this for decades now. I have probably said it 500 times this season. I guess I have to say it 501 times. You're doing it wrong if you're hopping from backup running back to backup running back to backup running back. And a third of the questions I get in Discord at fantasyguru.com, that's what they are. That's all it is. Which backup quarterback? Do I want like you can see on there on the screen. Do I want Jaden Blue? Well, I have Blue. Do I drop him for Caleb Johnson? Well, I have Caleb Johnson. Do I drop him for Trey Benson? Well, I have Trey Benson. Do I drop him for Ray Davis? Well, I have Ray Davis. Do I drop him for Tootin? You're doing it wrong if that's what you're doing. For the 501st time, handcuff your running backs. Randomly grabbing backup running backs is not a plan. You don't know who's going to get hurt to allow that backup running back to take over the lead role. I don't know who's going to get hurt to allow that backup running back to take over the lead role. No one knows that. And all you're doing, if you're doing what people, because I've seen this happen, because I recognize people's names, obviously, right? It's, I had Blue, I dropped Blue, and I picked up Johnson. I had Johnson, I dropped Johnson, I picked up Davis. Like, I've seen people doing this. Now people want to drop Bigsby, and they want to add Tootin if he's out there. Like, we're doing all these. Bottom line is, if you're asking me to guess, I'm not of much use to you. If you're guessing yourself, again, not a plan. Guessing doesn't do anything for you. So really, and again, we'll talk more detail about this with Russell Clay, but it's, as you can tell, I'm a little frustrated by it because I keep saying don't do this, and a third of the questions I get in Discord every day are exactly this. It's really confounding. I don't understand it. Anyway, we'll talk more with football with Russell Clay here in a few minutes. Let's talk some baseball here to start the show. CJ Abrams yesterday stole his 30th base of the season. Let's look at CJ Abrams a little bit. Going back to draft season, it's been a long time. We'll look at two actually players from the Nationals here to start the show off. Abrams and Woods. In total, both guys have had good years. In the case of CJ Abrams, he is 3 home runs away from going 20-30. He went 20-30 last year, so he's basically been the same guy there. Batting average up about 20 points over the last 3 years, so some improvement there. He's already got a career high in runs scored with 87. Got a really outside chance at 100, but 90 looks like it's going to happen for him. So he's going to go 20-30, hit 265 with 90 runs scored. This is really good. On-base percentage is up, slugging percentage is up. This has been a very strong season for CJ Abrams. Now, unfortunately for CJ Abrams, it's been a little bit of this and a little bit of that. There have been moments where he's been really hot. There's been moments where he's been really cold. But in the end, he's been very effective. And I think it's really easy to forget or overlook the fact that he doesn't turn 25 until next month. Like, he's still really good. And to sit here and say that this is all he can be, maybe it is. Now, again, there's nothing wrong with the guy going 20-30, scoring 90 runs and hitting 270. But I still think there might be a little bit more here. I still think 20-40 is doable. You could dream 25-40, right? You can dream on a 285 batting average. You can dream on one of those magical seasons from him. I just wanted to, because we haven't talked about him, because I think anyone that has him, you're happy with him and all that kind of stuff. It's not like, you're concerned. Maybe you're a little, again, slightly disappointed, even though he's been fine. When players replicate the success of the previous year, fine doesn't usually do it, right? Now, he was much better in the first half, so he got a 670 OPS in the second half, so he has worn down. But again, he's leveled off, and we'll spend a lot of the offseason trying to determine whether or not Abrams leveling off in the second half was just leveling off to who he is. Were there reasons for the dip in the second half? Because the 670 OPS is clearly not who he is, right? So we'll spend some time looking at him here. But I think overall it's basically been kind of a repeat of last season, which isn't bad, slightly below expectations. Now, his teammate James Wood doesn't turn 23 until next week, so he's even younger. James Wood, who, very glowing speak for me from before the season began on all my teams across the land. He's 3 runs away from going 30-15. He's got 79 RBIs, 88 runs scored. It's been a win for him. Anyone that drafted him got a win. Has it been special? No, it hasn't been special. It's been really good. It hasn't been special, much like Abrams. The issue with Wood is that his strikeout rate is 31.5%. He's up to 198 strikeouts. Now, he is 6'7". He's got a big strike zone, all that kind of stuff. So that's, that's likely to be a challenge. We see it with Cruz too, O'Neal Cruz of the Pirates. When you obviously have that strike zone that size, it is more difficult. Now, the really interesting thing, positive and negative, with James Wood is his O-swing rate, so the amount of pitches he's chasing outside the strike zone, is 25%. That's a really good number, and it's a fantastic number for someone that has 200 strikeouts. What that means is he's missing a lot of pitches in the strike zone. That's not good. First pitch strike rate with him is also 55%. That's way below the league average of 61%. So he's getting ahead 1-0 an awful lot. He's not chasing pitches at all, and yet he's still got 200 strikeouts. So that is definitely something that you can look at and say, that doesn't make sense. That is definitely something that we could talk about him improving. And like so many young players, there's a very obvious twofold step thing here with Wood that would unlock stupendous work. One, make more contact when you swing, or swing at better pitches, right? Put the ball in play when it is a strike. We just talked about he's not flailing all over the place. But secondarily, his pull rate is 29%. He's 6'7", 240, and his pull rate is 29%. You got to get... Sure, guys have power up the middle or the opposite field, all that kind of stuff, but you got to get to your pull field. You got to do it. So he's got to get that pull rate up to 35%, 40%, something like that. If he can make that change, we could really see the power numbers take off next season with Mr. Wood. Starling Marte. we've talked about Starling Marte a couple times here. Now let's move on from the broad picture to let's talk about somebody that can help me out right now, Ray, or could this guy help me out right now? Marte did have a period of time, a month and a half ago, where he was on fire for a couple of weeks. We talked about him on the show. Unfortunately, over the last 20 games, he's hit 270 with a 726 OPS, basically becoming who he has been. He had a nice game last night, but no home runs or steals the last 10 games he's played. He's batting 200 the last 10 games. So there was that brief flash with Starling Marte. I think we're all aware who Starling Marte is at this point of his career, so it's not a surprise to say, okay, he slowed down. 2-run double last night, all that kind of stuff. Been a very productive depth player for the Mets, but in the fantasy space, just not a lot to see there. And after that quick period of success, obviously he's gone and returned to being just a league average guy. This situation is very interesting with the Yankees. Yankees got a lot of things going for them. Aaron Judge is hitting home runs. Stan's hitting home runs. Schittler, who we'll talk about in a few minutes, was was very effective last night. They got a mess at the shortstop position. In fact, they recently came out, the team did, and said, our shortstop position is kind of up in the air now because Anthony Volpe has really struggled this season. He had a cortisone shot in his left shoulder recently. This is the same shoulder he's been dealing with. It's been an issue since May, so his shoulder's not right. They said there were there's no structural damage. Now, again, I know this. I have small tears in my left rotator cuff. We've talked about that on the show. My battles with it, going to therapy and having cortisone shots and MRIs. I've done all this stuff too myself. And my shoulder just hurts sitting on the couch, right? I have no idea exactly what Anthony Volpe is dealing with, but obviously, shoulders are a big deal. And so this could very easily explain his struggles this season, right? Because he just hasn't been right physically. And now it's to the point with Volpe that, and I've had this question come up in Discord, is he even worth holding? Really, it sounds stupid to say, I just drop Anthony Volpe. But really, at this point, his seasonal numbers, he's one home run away from going 2015. The steals are way down from where they've been the last 2 years. He's been 24, 28. This year he's only got 16. The real issue is that we're now 460 games into his big league career with Anthony Volpe. And I say this kindly, he can't hit. His career OPS is 667 or 661, excuse me. That's just bloody terrible. It's terrible. And, there's power and speed here. We're talking about youth. He's 24 years old, right? But 460 games in an OPS in the 660s, it just doesn't work. So right now, if you had to move on, hey, that's the game we're playing right now. The short windows, we got a win coming down the stretch here. But his career, he's at a crossroads for a little bit, and that's not something you kind of thought because he's a very talented guy, and we thought he'd be somebody else by this point of his career. Jose Caballero went 2 for 3 last night, had a walk, a run scored, an RBI, stole a couple of bases. And Caballero, by the way, who's now seeing time at shortstop for the Yankees, is such an interesting player because, you pull up his page here. He's been in the outfield, 50 times this year. So he's going to qualify at outfield next season. He's played shortstop 37 times, going to qualify at shortstop next year. He's played third base 33 times, going to qualify at third base next year. He's played second base 20 times. He's got 4 positions. 4. Oh, and by the way, do you know who leads Major League Baseball in steals? Jose Caballero. Now, what's amazing about this, he'll qualify at 4 positions next year, playing at least 20 games in all 4 spots. He leads baseball in steals. He's got 44 this year, had 45 this year, 44 last year. He has 335 plate appearances. He doesn't even play. Wild. If there is a perfect league-only player beyond the superstars, it's this guy. Yeah, he's not a good hitter. Yes, there's nothing to see there. But the steals, he's going to not single-handedly, that's not the way the game works anymore. He will be a highly impressive, imposing, driving factor in steals success in a league-only setup. And he qualifies at 4 positions. So pretty remarkable there. And again, he's... The issue with Caballero is the limitations with his offensive game, but it's knowing that he's not going to play every day. Well, still not playing every day, right? But with the injury and the uncertainty of the health of Volpe, likely to get more action here. He's got 10 steals the last month. He's got 5 steals the last 10 games. He's got 4 steals the last 5 games. So he's running when he's in the lineup. The next guy is a more exciting fantasy asset. I think that's fair to say, even though he only qualifies at one position, because he's just a better hitter. Chandler Simpson. Chandler Simpson, last night as well, had a pretty solid effort. He went 4 for 4, stole his 40th base of the season. Hadn't been in a slump. He'd been like 2 for 19, 2 for 20, something like that. So the 4-hit game last night was really nice. We're now 96 games in because they did that promotion demotion thing with him this year, as we're aware. He's stolen 40 bases in 96 games. So let's call it a 60 steal pace. He's hitting 292. I mean, so it's interesting. He's been exactly what we're expecting in fantasy. And I haven't got a question about him in forever. I hadn't had anyone talk to me about him forever. Maybe it's just because, hey, he has been what he has been, or I don't know. Maybe people have just moved on to the things at this point. But yeah, Chandler Simpson has been as advertised, and he has been terrific. He's done exactly what was expected when you added him off the waiver wire. So kudos to him. Mike Trout, going from the other end of things, Mike Trout, who used to steal bases, to a guy who doesn't steal bases, a guy, Sampson, can't hit a home run, to a guy that always hits home runs, and Mike Trout. Well, Mike Trout hit a home run last night. Mike Trout went 1, 2, 6. 126 plate appearances without a home run. What is going on? And there is all this talk about Trout in the Hall of Fame and everything. And I guess his legacy has cemented him, and he's in. Because that's what the majority of people that I hear from always say. Doesn't have 2,000 hits. He's 1 home run away from 400 home runs. Nah. Barely has 1,000 RBIs, 1,189 runs. The slash line is beautiful. 295, 407, 570. It's beautiful. Like, that is a Hall of Fame line, right? Does it matter? I mean, I don't know. He's just not a dude anymore. He's hit 244 the last 3 years. He's played 116 games, so let's give him 125 games. That'll be the highest game total he's played in 6 years. And he just won 126 plate appearances without a home run. I mean, I'll just throw it out there. It's not what we talk about on the show, and it's not the right time of year to be talking about it. Mike Trout's got 14 steals. 14 steals in 6 years. Is he really a Hall of Famer? This guy has had 1 good season in 6 years. He had 9 great. He hasn't even. He's had 10. Take his first season. He's had 9 seasons in his career. He's been really good. 9. Is 9 seasons enough to get to the Hall of Fame, even when you're Mike Trout? I don't know. Bobby Abreu went 2020 and hit 300 for like 15 years. Carlos Beltran. Mike Trout? I don't know. Anyway, interesting. He went 126 plate appearances without a home run. Wow. Let's talk some pitching before we talk some football in about 10 minutes with Russell Clay. The Giants have changed their rotation up this week. They have an off day, so they're going to skip the 5th start in the rotation. So the upshot of this is obviously Logan Webb makes 2 starts, as expected. But we get Robbie Ray making a 2nd start this week. Robbie Ray, who's been uneven of late the last month. I don't know if he's wearing down or, just kind of in a little rut here. He's been terrific this season, but Robbie Ray has slowed down here the last month. Now gets a 2nd start this week. He's facing the Dodgers. So, it's not great, but he'll be out there a 2nd time this week. So for those of you that have Robbie Ray, as I do in multiple leagues, you're obviously, I think, rolling him out there at this point of the season. There might be some scenarios where you're not, but you're most likely going to be rolling him out there. His last 5 starts, he's got an ERA of 5.2 and a WHIP of 1.4. So it really depends upon what you're trying to do, if you're trying to protect ratios, all that kind of stuff. But I think for the majority of people, you start him against the Dodgers. It's just not the level of looking at his numbers and saying, oh, I'm getting that guy. You're not getting the 3.311 guy right now. But he is going to pitch a 2nd time. So obviously the Giants feeling pretty decent about getting him back out there on regular rest. So they're not concerned about the slowdown in his performance here the last couple of weeks. Jesus Luzardo. I had this question asked in Discord earlier today. You see John G mentions it as well. Luzardo picked up his 14th victory of the season. He allowed 4 runs in the first inning, and looked like it was going to be one of those disastrous efforts. As John points out there, I think he was actually perfect for 7 innings. After that, he became the first Philly pitcher to give up 4 runs in the first inning, and then throw 7 shutout innings. Oh, actually, that's not even true. He became the first Philly pitcher to give up 4 runs in the first inning and still just complete 8 innings since 1977. Since arguably the second or third, maybe top 5 lefty of all time, Steve Carlton did it. He's the first Philly pitcher to do it since Steve Carlton. And someone asked me, as I noted in Discord, like, what the bottom line is, and there have been a lot of people trying to figure this out, because Luzardo, for the most part this year, has been really good. He's been really good. He's been disastrous, catastrophic, horrendous. He gave up 20 runs in 5 innings or whatever the hell it was, right? Absolutely. He's been futile. Been horrible. And in the end, he's made 30 starts. He's won 14 games, and he struck out 200 guys. There have been a lot of theories as to what's going on with him. Tipping pitches, the look of his pitches, the fact that the sequencing at time. But really, the analysis I've been able to glean is that at the end of the day, he's just made some bad pitches. And he's left too many pitches over the heart of the strike zone. And it doesn't matter how good your stuff is, strikeout stuff or not, if you leave it grooved, and it gets hit. So, I mean, this is a massive win for him. I mean, it's 200 strikeouts, 14 victories, and 30 starts. Massive win for Luzardo. Were there times that you had him in your lineup like I did and you got beat down? Yes. Were there times you removed him from your lineup? Because even if you have patience, you're like, he's gotten beat down, and then he goes out and throws 7 innings of shutout ball and you've missed that? Yes. So it'll be interesting to see what my ERA for Luzardo might end up being 4.5, right? From an actual usage perspective, even though his ERA is 4.0 right now. But the bottom line is, if he could ever find a way to lock in just a little bit better, he could be a star. And remember, he doesn't turn 28 until later this month. He absolutely could figure this out. So really intriguing on both angles, but my gosh, just wild. Just funny. I'm reading this stuff. Some of the users at fantasyguru.com are interesting people. Bryce Miller had 11 strikeouts last night against the Angels, which you have to consider victory. Went 5 2/3 innings, perfectly good there. Did allow 4 runs. So, at the end of the day, was this a good effort for Miller? I mean, it's 11 punch-outs. So, and he appears to be healthy. The velocity's there. The stuff looks pretty good. We've talked a lot about him and coming back from the elbow issue and the fact he's likely to need surgery in the offseason. But, he faced the Royals next. And at this point, Miller is not somebody that you expect dominance from, but he is someone that you can confidently start and expect there to be passable 5 innings of work. And while I know that's not what we expect. That's not what I expected. That's not what I told you to expect. I understand that. But right now, maybe that's what you need for your fantasy squad. So I'm not against pitching him up against the Royals. Miguel Garcia's slowed down a little bit of late. Obviously Mr. Witt is not at 100%. So yeah, Bryce Miller next time out is probably a decent start. Gavin Williams posted a quality start against those Royals last night. Gave up 2 runs, 4 hits over 6 innings. He had 6 strikeouts, 3 walks. The walks continue to be something with him. And, he's had a really interesting season. He was in the Breakout Pitcher of the Year article over at fantasyguru.com. He was behind, obviously, Lodolo. Has Williams broken out? No, he hasn't. Does have 10 victories and a 3.16 ERA, which is pretty good. Also has 150 strikeouts. So did he break out? No. Let me take a sip of water here. Hold on. Did he break out? No. But 10 victories, 3.16 ERA, 150 plus strikeouts. Another start or 2. He's likely to qualify for the ERA title, which isn't easy anymore, right? So we're looking at 160 plus innings, 160 plus strikeouts, double-digit victories. The whip, though, is about league average. Why? Because of those walks. His walk rate is 12%. And that drops his strikeout to walk ratio down under 2 which is terrible. He was not good ratio-wise at the start of the season. He's been much better later in the year. But overall, you can't look at a strikeout minus walk rate of 11.1%, which is multiple percentage points below the league average, and feel good about that. What we're seeing now from Williams, if he does this again next season, that 3.1 ERA is going to be 4.1. So keep that in mind. If you're looking at him as a keeper, that kind of thing, understand the ERA, if you look at his total game right now, the ERA is artificially low. It's been usable and it's been fun in the fantasy space. But unless he cleans up his game and does a much better job of limiting the walks, it's fair to look at him legitimately and think that ERA is going up an entire run. He's been quite fortunate this year. 250 batting average on balls in play, an 83% left on base percentage. Control is the key with him. If he can figure that out, I'm considering this a win because, again, injuries and starts and stops and all, he threw 150 innings this year. I'm considering this a win. But he needs to do a much better job with the walks if he wants to really get to that level where he was anticipated of being. And that's being more of a front of the rotation guy than a back of the rotation guy. Kevin Gausman, shut up. Against the Astros yesterday. Wow. 2-hitter, 1 walk, 9 strikeouts, 4th complete game, 100 pitches. He has been solid this season. And Gausman is, it's on my dynasty team. Was he 34? 34 years old. And, we're at that point of the career where if you're solid at 34, okay, right? There's not many guys. Yeah, there's the Zach Wheelers of the world until he got hurt, had the health issue this year. There's some guys that do it, right? Most guys at that age, if they had a Kevin Gausman season, it's a win. He's thrown 177 innings, got 170 strikeouts, got double-digit victories, got an ERA of 3.5. And unlike Williams, his whip is actually 1.0. How many people, raise your hand if you knew that Kevin Gausman had a 1.00 whip? I don't think anyone's hands up unless you're looked at it this morning or last night, he's on your team, or you're a huge Jays fan. So a small percentage of people actually realize he's been really good. His walk rate this year is 6.4%. I mean, it's a little bit below his career level. He's done a very good job of limiting the walks. A little bit of batting average of balls in play fortune. Strikeout rate is better than it was last year, though it's pretty much a league average-ish number. From 2019, let's look at it exactly. 2019 to 2023, strikeout rate was 29%, which is close to being elite. This year it's 24%. So he's not the guy he once was, but, very effective this season. And down the stretch here, looking to finish on a high note. A 1.00 whip. Yeah, who knew? Ryan Weathers returned from injury and dominated the Nationals. The Nationals, even though we talked earlier about Abrams and Wood, it's not really happening for the Nationals. They got Lyle going right now and Josh Bell, but this is not a team that pitching staffs fear at the moment. Weathers returned, looked great. The 25-year-old can't stay healthy. He was in the Breakout Pitcher of the Year article, but another season of him in ill health. His stuff is continuing to trend upwards. Velocity is up from what it was a few years ago. The movement on his pitches is up from a few years ago. A lot to like with him. He just has to stay healthy. Next time out at Coors Field, though. So despite all those positive things I said, I don't think we want to be turning to him there. And then finally, before we talk some football with Russell Clay, Cam Schittler, another solid effort last night against the Tigers. The Yankees hurler, 7 strikeouts, 1-run baseball, allowed just that 1 run with a 6 strikeouts, 7 strikeouts. Let me pull him up there. Unfortunately, despite the good here, we got a lot of Gavin Williams going on here at the moment. He's been better than I anticipated, without question, Schittler. I still worry a little bit about the fact that his walk rate's in the double digits. He's been fortunate with the 84% left on base percentage. His ERA is 3.1, almost exactly the same as Williams. All the indicators suggest that ERA should be about a run higher, same as Williams. So it's been good. If you've been using Schittler, and say it carefully because you don't want to swear, if you've been using him, you've gotten good returns. But realize that we're on the edge here. There's going to be rough efforts like there was 2 starts ago against Toronto when he couldn't get out of the second inning. But it was a nice bounce back effort for him after that effort against Toronto. But still a lot of work to do there controlling the strike zone. And that was one of the concerns when he was promoted. Does he have the depth behind that elite fastball to be a starting pitcher long-term in this league? So that was the baseball talk. We'll return to baseball talk on Tuesday next week. So remember, now on Mondays, we're going full football. I give a review, spend an hour talking about what happened on Sunday. So that'll be what I do on Monday. Tuesday, we'll talk half an hour baseball and then half hour football. Wednesday, the same. Thursday, the same. Friday, the same. Wednesdays, Justin Fensterman chops it up and a little bit of this, a little bit of that, basketball, football, some baseball. So that's the plan. But on Fridays, and that's today, we visit with our man, Russell Clay. Russell Clay, who you might have heard on SiriusXM Fantasy Sports Radio at 6 o'clock Eastern on Sunday night. Russell Clay, who you might have heard here because he's with us every Friday on the show at about 12:30 Eastern Standard Time. Russell Clay covers college football at fantasyguru.com. He's our dynasty ace over at fantasyguru.com. He does live streams at fantasyguru.com. He's in the Discord room every day answering questions over at fantasyguru.com. So he's the guy you know and love. We're going to bring him on every Friday. We talk a little Thursday night football results with him, kind of break the game down in a little bit here, and then also talk some news and notes of what's going on around the NFL. And we're going to pry his brain, his big brain. We have a discussion here about that running back roulette situation. So let's bring him in now. He is Russell J. Clay, Russ J. He's Mr. Clay. How you doing, Mr. Clay?
Schittler?
Yeah.
Schittler?
Be careful.
That guy sounds like a star from a 90s like American Pie movie, you know?
He's 6'6", 230, big guy.
Really?
Yeah,
he's perfect.
I think he could totally fit in there. Schittler with Stifler's mom. I don't know what's going on. Yeah, you got to be careful when you say it. You got to be careful when you type it. I saved it in my Word doc, right? So I make sure it doesn't leave the the C out or anything like that. Yeah, but yeah, he's an interesting one. Lots of talent there. He's trying to harness it. Russell Clay at fantasyguru.com. How you doing, Russ?
I'm good, man. I'm a little sad the Packers D-line destroyed my boy Jane Daniels last night, but we are on to the weekend, and it's going to be a good weekend.
We're not on to the weekend yet because I want to talk to you about Thursday night football. You're on to the weekend. Those listeners aren't yet. Let's talk a little bit about that Thursday night game. The Packers, as you noted, moved to 2-0, 27-18. Daniels was fine statistically. 200 yards, 2 touchdowns. He ran for 17. He was fine. We're a couple of weeks in, though, now, and he's been fine. He wasn't drafted to be fine. He threw 42 passes to be fine. Packers defense, though, you're not really worried about Daniels moving forward, are you?
That felt much more like the Packers were already probably a top 10 defense and a top 5 to 7 defensive line. And now they have Micah Parsons. It was an onslaught from the beginning. Jaden did get his fantasy points. It wasn't really that. It was that first half and start to the third quarter where I'm thinking playoffs. I'm thinking further. That Packers team is the real deal. So really fun game for 2 contenders. But yeah, Jaden was fine fantasy wise, but it was ugly. It was ugly.
What about the backfield? Obviously, Austin Ekeler, the non-contact injury, everyone expecting it to be what we anticipate, a torn Achilles, season over, career potentially over, all that kind of negative stuff with Austin Ekeler. What are we doing in this backfield? Bill, JCM, absolutely nothing last night. Was solid in week 1, but he certainly appears to be the guy now. Now we have to worry about Rodriguez or McNichols. Like, talk us through this backfield. What are we looking at moving forward?
You have to imagine they wish they kept Brian Robinson at this stage. But here we are. We have a 6th or 7th round running back that they are forcing. He's going to be their pretty much featured guy going forward. You do think Rodriguez and McNichols will get involved based on the first 2 weeks. Now they did face 2 really good defensive lines through this first 2 weeks. So I don't want to hit the panic button too much. This schedule does open up. Giants, for all their faults, they drafted Abdul Carter this year, who's a really good defensive player, and they have a few others. So through 2 weeks, he's faced some brutal defensive lines. This running game will get better, but I think we're seeing the result of that, especially last night. There was just no room for anything.
Russell Clay at fantasyguru.com. Zach Ertz is the truth. Are you bowing down? It's 2 weeks now. What are we doing?
I'm backing away from my take. I said he was going to be like Austin Hooper and late season Jason Witten. Let me tell you, Late Jason Witten was not making any of that type of touchdown late in his career. That was an amazing play. I did not know Zach Ertz still had that juice. He is going to be a main weapon for them this year. And I guess my boy Benson is going to have to wait another year because Ertz looked great.
No question, tight end 1 at this point?
Yeah, the only argument against it would be that Sinnott was going to come in and start to take snaps and take over by midseason, but clearly that is not the situation with Ertz. He looks great. He looks spry, and that was really the only weakness to his game, obviously, as the hands and the technique. So all systems go on Ertz. If you got him wherever you got him, probably super late, you got yourself a tight end 1.
On the other side, I think let's talk Packers with Russell Clay. We're 2 weeks into this, and we don't know. I mean, they're winning games. Love's been fine, right? The offense is working. Jacobs getting in the end zone every week. Okay. This receiving core, I mean, again, I think I said this earlier in the week. I have Dontavian Wicks in 1 league, and that's like in all the leagues I'm in. I don't think I have another Packer pass catcher because you don't know. It's like every week there's 7-8 guys involved in the offense. The only guy that was involved last night to a high level was Tucker Kraft. He went nuts, 6 catches, 124 yards, and a touchdown. Long reception in that, 57 yards, helped play a part. Is he trustworthy? Is he the one piece in this offense that you can look at and say, you know what? Yeah.
We have Jacobs. We know what we're getting there. They love him. We have Tucker Kraft, who I joked all off season. Packers fans, I listened to you guys, and it looks like you guys were right. They were talking about that guy all off season. Tucker Kraft. So it looks like that has come to fruition. I mean, Jaden Reed gets hurt on his first target last night, broken collarbone, IR. We have this Savion Williams thing, which I'm super excited about from a real football, like how they use him. They had him rushing attempts last night. Mm-hmm. Really fun player. Fantasy-wise, though, which is what we're talking about, we're really looking at Wicks and Dobbs and maybe Christian Watson when he comes back. It's gnarly, Ray. I don't know that any of those guys are going to offer much.
Well, and then we got Mr. Golden. We got to talk about him.
Yeah, Golden,
who, it's a pass catcher, 2 targets, nothing. Now, could have had a couple touchdowns, maybe, like a couple better, it was close, okay. So, but some of his work last night was 2 carries for 15 yards. He, to date, has had 2 games, very Christian Watson-like. Not there. Does that mean next week it's 3 catches for 90 yards and a touchdown? Maybe. What are we doing with Golden? Because we know how this goes. He was probably overdrafted in your fantasy league. People are probably pissed off because he's done nothing through 2 weeks. Even with the injury to Reed, they're going to go to the waiver wire. Wayndale Robinson's going to get dropped, or, Jake Bobo is going to have 2 touchdowns this weekend. Something's going to happen nuts, and they're going to want to drop Golden. In a redraft scenario, should Golden be on a team? Like, talk us through where he should be. Is it a 10-team league? He's gone. 14-team league? Someone should have him. You should be looking at the second half with him. You should be worried about the second half when Watson comes back. What are you doing with Golden?
So when we look at that offense, we've already seen the Romeo Dobbs career arc, I would say. Some guys develop later in their careers, but I think we've seen what the ceiling can be. That's a touchdown and 70 yards. Wicks, nice player, but I don't think they have any intentions of making him more than 60-70% of the snaps. Nice slot guy, can get open on the outside. Golden is the upside play. Of course, the downside, as Ray mentioned, is there as well. Is he fantasy right now? Again, I think they are figuring out this offense, and they're doing it while winning, so it gives us this weird feel of like this is a finished product. This is week 2. They just brought in 2 brand new receivers that are getting acclimated to the system. They lost Christian Watson, and they lost their main guy, Jaden Reed, last night. So It's 2 weeks in. It's two vastly different wide receiver depth charts than it was. So week 3 is going to look way different than this week because they have to figure something else out. They survived yesterday, but it was not pretty in terms of the passing game.
Russell Clay at fantasyguru.com. One more question for you, Russ, before we leave Thursday Night Football. Let's go back to the Commanders. Terry McLaurin. Really, I was surprised, but not, because I know how people play this game. They look at a box score. I was surprised by how many people were asking questions about should they start McLaurin this week. And I heard from a couple of people saying, well, the Packers defense is so good. And it's like, we're not benching teams' wide receiver ones because the matchup is difficult, right? We're not doing that. Did McLaurin have a big night last night? No, he didn't. But what I see is a team leading 9 targets, right? He still caught 5 balls for 48 yards. Is everything going to be okay with Terry McLaurin? Did missing camp screw him? Is his season ruined? What do you think with Terry McLaurin?
Okay.
Uh-oh. Deep breath.
I try to reduce as much stress as I can through the fantasy season. Mm-hmm. So if I draft Jaden Daniels, I'm not thinking about that start sit all season. He's in my lineup no matter what.
Right.
If I draft Terry McLaurin, he better be in my lineup 80% of the time. Like, if not, maybe I picked him up. Like maybe someone, unless you picked him up off waivers or he dropped to the 10th round,
right?
I'm just playing him. And if I have better options, then my team rocks. But I did see a lot of start sits for some questionable characters last night. And I guess my thought is if you have Terry McLaurin and you're questioning, I know it didn't work out in this matchup, but I don't know. My thing is I want as many set and forget guys as I can, and I'll take the results through the full season. I don't think about it as an individual week for the right. Top guys. So McLaurin, 1,100 yards last year, was like wide receiver 12. I just would roll with it.
Part of the problem too, and just to say it, is 10-team leagues that start 2 wide receivers. Like there's so many people that are in that format because that's the default for Schmahu and Zidane, and like. Gosh, folks, you're so living in 1976 with these setups. It's wild to me. Russell Clay at fantasyguru.com. Let's move on from this to my issue, which I had mentioned earlier in the show today. And I said, and I think this is pretty accurate. I say throughout the week, a third of the questions I get over at fantasyguru.com are some form of the following. I have Chris Rodriguez. I'm going to drop him for Jaden Blue. I have Jaden Blue. I'm going to drop him for Caleb Johnson. I have Trey Benson. Do I drop him for Caleb Johnson? I have Caleb Johnson. Do I drop him for Ray Davis? The incessant, never-ending roulette wheel at the running back position. Because people, A, don't identify the right systems. B, they don't listen to us and handcuff their running backs. And C, it's like the shiny new thing. They're always they add a backup running back who does nothing because he's a backup running back. They add him, and then the next week they drop him for the same guy who had 3 extra fantasy points this week, so they think it's a better long-term play. And then next week there'll be someone else that scores 3 more points, and they'll go to that. So what's your thought on this? Because I've said this repeatedly. I actually have a copy and paste thing I'm starting to put in Discord now because I'm getting so frustrated with the running back 52 to running back 49 to running back 43 to running back 62. If you're playing the game of backup running back guessing, you're just guessing. That's not a strategy. It's not a strategy. What is your response when you see people doing this, Russ?
My first response, oh no. Why?
Because it's everywhere. It's everywhere.
But it's not for me. It's why are you doing that to yourself? Because number one, it's like cashing out a bet early. What if you're right? What if you're right on the guy you're giving up on now? And now there is this unwritten silent sunk cost of, I'm going to be sick if I'm right on that guy. And then I've already moved on. So what I would say is you are going to be wrong. Like I'm seeing people already giving up on Ken Walker. If I drafted Ken Walker, I'm giving this a month. I am not. This is a guy I drafted pretty high. I have high conviction on. I am not letting one bad game change much of anything for me on a high conviction guy, right? We talked about Jaden Daniels.
Right.
We talked about Ken Walker. Now, if this is, I get moving off some of these later round picks and churning some, but I like to churn more the wide receivers. The running backs, it's more like, okay, I have my handcuffs. I don't want to move off that handcuff for any reason, barring them getting cut from the roster. Beyond that, I'm holding that conviction at least for a few weeks. Because most of the time, almost all the time, I'm going to be picking up someone I have a low conviction in, that I'm less confident in, that I didn't have a good read on before the season. So I do think there is some churn and burn stuff, but it's for irrelevant guys at the end of the roster, not like my main handcuff for my starter or anything like that. And then when there's those 50-50s, I almost always just lean with the guy who's on my roster. He's on my roster. Obviously, I did that for a reason. If I'm giving up now, think of it this way. You are giving up on your opinion, and you have to now gamble that your opinion you just thought was right is wrong. So it's the risk that, anyway, you guys get what I'm saying. That's the stance. Just be aware every time you cut someone, now you have a new sweat of you better not be wrong on that either.
Like the people that cut Chris Rodriguez and now have to run back to the waiver wire because Austin Ekeler blew his Achilles out last night.
Right.
Russell Clay of FantasyGuru.com. I think the real issue I have with this is it's frustration. But the real issue I have with this is like people, it's like I said, we're going blue to Caleb Johnson, to Quinshon Judkins, like all these rookie running backs. Like, what did people think was going to happen? We said all offseason, the whole time, you want Jaden Blue. None of us ever said we're starting Jaden Blue in week 1. None of us ever said we're starting Jaden Blue in week 2. None of us ever said we're starting Jaden Blue in week 3. And everyone wants to drop Jaden Blue. Nothing has changed. For me personally with Jaden Blue, nothing has changed based upon my expectations of a month ago. But he is being dropped everywhere by our people, which I don't understand, Russ.
The whole time, again, we've watched football for a long time. I have watched Derrick Henry sit behind old DeMarco Murray for a full rookie season. I have watched Nick Chubb sit behind 30-year-old Carlos Hyde in his rookie season. We're looking for moments right now to get them more snaps. Like example, RJ Harvey in week 1. Some people are frustrated with that. He had a 50-yard run that is going to stick in that film room and stick with Sean Payton, and they are going to build that role up because they need explosive weapons like him. We are just looking for moments. Like, for any of you who remember Nick Chubb, he was purely a backup until he had that 3-rush, 100-yard, 2-touchdown game against the Raiders. And then they finally said, okay, you win. We have to use you now. So with these rookies, even if they are amazing, it's going to take a moment or two for them to get the coaching staff to say, all right, we're all in. So if you're doing Jaden Blue, you have conviction on that. Nothing about week 1 tells me Javonte Williams is on steroids. He didn't look like he would need some performance enhancer to change our take, right?
Right.
Nothing's changed about Javonte or any Miles Sanders certainly didn't change.
Yeah.
So if you have Jaden Blue and you had conviction on that, just keep it rolling.
Russell Clay, FantasyGuru.com. Let's talk a little bit about the Niners here. My Niners, the rest, they're not looking good right now. There's a lot going on here. Brock Purdy's got the toe issue, whatever it is. We heard reports 2 to 5 weeks, so basically we don't know. He could miss multiple weeks here. Mac Jones is a capable backup. I want to get your thoughts on how Mac Jones is going to run this offense. But before we can even get to that, We got to point out that Ayuk is still out. Cowing is still out. Trent Taylor is still out. Demarcus Robinson is still out. Juwan Jennings is not practicing. We don't know if he's going to play this week. They just signed Kendrick Bourne off the street. They've got Marquez Valdez-Scantling. They've got Sky Moore. They've got Russell Gage. Like, George Kittle's out. So who is Mac Jones? And other than Christian McCaffrey, any confidence in anybody on this roster this week?
Okay. The one thing I will say is Mac Jones did make Brian Thomas a league winner last year. So I will admit that.
True.
I'm looking at Ricky P on the outside, aka Kyle Shanahan's football son. That is, if Kyle Shanahan was super athletic, this is what he would have wanted for himself. So I think Pearsall is going to crush.
Okay.
The rest of this roster, though, I see people picking up the guy Tonjas.
Yeah.
I'll be honest. I didn't know who that was until a few days
And you're
ago.
a dynasty guy too, by the way.
Yeah, I don't know who that is.
Yeah.
But tight end and Kyle Shanahan offense. Looks like McCaffrey's going to get run into the ground. So for fantasy, we like that early in the year. Beyond that, it's really falling apart quick. I mean, the 49ers usually give us a month before they start losing all their guys. We need Juwan Jennings back. We need Kittle back. It's going to get weird. They're playing the Saints this week, so they should still win, but fantasy-wise, it's getting ugly.
Russ, what about the situation going back to the running back spot with the Browns? Because Quinshon Judkins is practicing now. Still don't know when he's going to be active. They've said potentially this week, which seems really fast to me, but they've said potentially this week. The league is still investigating the off-the-field stuff, so there still could be a suspension. Names come up a lot this week. Names come up a lot to this point of the season. I don't think Judkins should be on the waiver wire. I think it's fair to say he should be on somebody's roster. But if you were to randomly throw a number, and I'm not going to hold you to this, but like we're in a redraft league, he's running back 35. He's running back 45. He's running back 20. Give me a rough guesstimate of who he is the rest of the season.
35 sounds about right.
Okay.
We have an issue for Judkins, which is he can come in and be awesome, but there's another rookie running back who is awesome. So that really complicates things. Jerome Ford is not going to be in the way of any of these guys. But when you look at this, you really, as a Judkins person, if you are a Judkins guy, you really hated to see Sampson's week one because he looked fantastic. He looked exactly as advertised out of Tennessee. And you can't unring that bell with Sampson. They're going to have to continue to use him. So it's going to be messy. The real hope is that Ford gets phased out and it's Sampson and Judkins and Flacco continues to start. So I like Judkins, supreme talent. I will say I love Sampson, more talented than Sampson. But yeah, could take a while to get back. And then when he's back, get those snaps up. So could take a couple months.
Russell Clay at fantasyguru.com. One more question before we hit a couple of the user questions. Someone was asking me about Jordan Addison yesterday, and there was a little back and forth in Discord, like, why are you kind of down? And I said, well, look, for me, this is how I view Jordan Addison. 1, he's out this week. 2, he's out next week. 3, he's got to buy in week 6. He's out 3 of the next 5 games. Okay, he's already missed week 1, and then he's going to miss 3 of the next 5 weeks, not games, 3 of the next 5 weeks. You want to be making moves to add him right now? Like, it's so my real question is, Addison, who we all profile long-term as a usable weekly piece when he's out there and healthy and active and the whole thing. Or Xavier Worthy, who ran into his teammate, Kelsey, got hurt. You know, these are 2 young guys, right? 2 explosive players who at times have done really nice things. If you had one single spot, or you had one of these 2 guys, who would you rather have, Worthy or Addison for 2025?
It was before suspension, before injury. It was going to be Worthy. I was really excited about his season. First round pick from last year, super speed, featured in the playoffs, which is a really nice indicator. I do think JJ's the real deal. And the one issue for Addison is when he comes back, it's Hawkinson, it's Jefferson, and it's this running game. I hopped on the live stream on Tuesday, and Tyler and Armando both had a glimmer in their eye when we talked about Jordan Mason. So that running game looks pretty good so far to start the year. And Yeah, I would go Worthy, but what a mess this all is right now for both those guys. So I'm sticking with Worthy, but Addison will have big games in that offense.
Russell Clay joins us every Friday at about 12:30 Eastern Standard Time here on the show. You can leave comments and questions as we discussed in 3 places: Facebook.com/FantasyGuruHQ, Twitter X @FantasyGuruSite, and on YouTube at YouTube.com/@ElitePlusNetwork. We got a comment here from Marcus M. Got a flex question. To me, 3 of these 4 guys are a yes, 1 is a no. Quentin Johnston had 2 touchdowns last week. He's not, for me, in the same ballpark as these other 3 guys: Devonta Smith, Ted McMillan, and Stephon Diggs. Marcus needs 1. The answer, unfortunately, Marcus, is you have 3 top 25 guys. So the answer is yes. And again, I know this is really frustrating as an analyst because I feel bad. We have a guy ranked 22, a guy ranked 23, and a guy ranked 19. They're all the same guy, right? Let's be honest about that, right? Which guy gets an extra 6 yards, or they're all the same guy. So the answer for Smith, McMillan, and Diggs is yes. All 3 of these guys should be starting for everybody every week. If you had to choose one, make an impossible call, Russ. Do you like one more than the other this week?
I like Smith for upside, and then Tet will have a really high floor in terms of weekly roll. I like his floor most for Tet, but if you want to go for 20 plus points, I think it's Smith. It's just the way that offense works. He's going to be up and down. So that's what you're looking at, Marcus. It's back and forth. But I will say I would go with Tet because I drafted him probably earliest here. So that's how I would look at that. Not that is the best analysis for this particular week, but when we have, like Ray mentioned, guys stacked together in the rankings, that's usually my tiebreaker. It's like, all right, who did I have the highest conviction in?
For Marcus, if Marcus legitimately has Smith, Diggs, and McMillan as no worse than the 2, 3, 4 receivers on this team, right? Maybe 3, 4, 5. If you had Quentin Johnston, wouldn't you trade him? Like I would. I'm coming off that 2 touchdown game that he's not going to repeat. Does that make sense to you?
Yeah, I'm happy Quentin's turned it around, but they got a lot of mouths to feed in LA.
Eric Guy's got a question here. He's in a tight end premium league, but doesn't have to start a tight end. David Njoku, who everyone hates because of Fannin, which I'm so confused by, or Josh Palmer. Palmer, had some nice moments last week. Of course, there was a lot of passing late by the Bills, a lot of volume there. Palmer's a guy we all like. Tight end premium, though, I mean, it's not like Njoku got 1 target last week. I think everyone's overlooking the fact that he actually was out there on the field all the time. He ran all the routes, played all the snaps. In a tight end premium, I'm still going to go Njoku over Palmer. What about you?
I would go Njoku. 2 concerning players from week 1. I still like Njoku. Josh Palmer, watching that Bills game, there was a clear push to make Keon Coleman the top guy in that passing game. So I do want to monitor that to see if that is the case. And if it's an every week thing, we haven't had that in Buffalo since Diggs. So keep an eye on that. And if that's the case, Palmer and Shakir are in for a downgrade. But it was only 1 week. Njoku, it's Fannin. I'm guessing that was a matchup thing. I still like Njoku from a talent perspective, so I would go with him.
Awful lot of games with 5 catches the last year. Awful lot. Angelo, by the way, said Schlitz was a good beer. Do you ever drink a Schlitz?
No.
Schlittler earlier? No.
I know Austin Powers. bong in a blitz.
Yeah, right. That's not mine. It's my bag, baby. Yeah, what is the pump?
Great movie.
It's a really good movie. I sometimes see clips on. I was like, I gotta watch that movie again.
Yeah.
Aaron's got a question. Aaron needs 2 of the following guys. I appreciate Aaron admitting it's a shallow league because again, the answer to this question is yes. All these guys are every week starters. 2 guys: ETN, Walker, and Swift.
Oh man.
And again, yes, the answer is yes. All 3 guys are top 25. All 3 guys should be playing, even with the struggles last week of Walker. We've all discussed the situation hours on hours this week, it seems like. ETN, Walker, and Swift. Who loses out this week, even though they shouldn't?
Hear me out.
Non-PPR too.
Hear me out.
Okay.
ETN played Carolina last week, which we can have theories on that Carolina run defense, right?
Right.
Then we go to this Bengals defense that is just a disaster. If you have ETN, take these first 2 weeks, enjoy them, but be aware what happened last year. So be careful. I would still go with Ken Walker and Swift.
Okay.
I would, but
Swift had 20 touches, by the way. I know some people missed that.
20
last
touches against a really tough Brian Flores-led Vikings defense. It's going to be a little easier this week against the Lions. Ken Walker, I'm not giving up on yet. I know they're playing the Steelers. Yeah, I would go with Walker and Swift because that's my conviction. And I guess we'll adjust after this week if that goes haywire.
Eric I has a running back question for us. Does not have Bigsby. Obviously, Bigsby. I mean, has Bigsby, but doesn't have Barkley. Obviously, Bigsby's been traded to Philadelphia. He'll likely become the backup running back for Barkley in a couple of weeks when he gets brought up to speed. So the question becomes, Eric has Swift, who we were just talking about. Who's the backup running back to get with Swift? Johnson's been the guy that we've kind of thought, well, 55 touches last year, 5 touchdowns, utilized the goal line a lot. We know the role that Swift's going to have. Is this going to be the lightning and thunder like it was in Detroit? Who is going to be David Montgomery in essence for the Bears this year? Is it the rookie? Is it Roschon Johnson? What's your call, Russ?
I think it's Manun guy, or I gotta get that. Yeah, I gotta get that right. I gotta watch the broadcast. I think it's Manun guy. But he looks like the guy to me. Okay. And Roschon's just been hurt all offseason, so I don't think there's any way we can really, really trust him with that backfield. So yeah, if anything happens to Swift, I think it's Manun guy, but we just gotta hope Swift stays healthy for the Bears' sake.
Tony C's got the following question. Would you start in a PPR, Cedric Tillman or Michael Pittman? Michael Pittman is part of that Colts team that had that massive week 1. Now faces a Broncos team in week 2. They're not going to have a massive week 2. It could be a bloodbath in week 2. If Surtain is on Pittman, which he might do, Pittman's got no shot.
Yeah.
Is it bad enough there to go with Tillman?
Our big question is, will they spotlight Pittman? Because they have a lot of weapons, especially on the outside of Donnie Mitchell, Alec Pierce. Will PS2 kind of roam around each play and be like, I think the target's going here. I'm going to shut him down this play. So I might still go with Pittman. I like what I saw, and we've seen him line up all over the place. So I would go with Pittman.
Oh, Marcus. Here we go. Marcus got another question for us. We just talked about his Ted McMillan. He wants to make a trade now.
Oh, no.
Deebo Samuel. And this, by the way, I wanted to bring this up because I've seen this a lot already, right? Folks, be very careful if you're making a trade, because I've seen a lot of, I'm going to make a trade to get JCM because people are in after Ekeler got hurt last night and stuff. The Commanders played this week. If you're making a trade to get a commander, you're getting a 0. You're getting a 0 from the player you're adding, and you're giving away a player. Be very careful. Usually it's look ahead to the bye weeks like, oh, has this guy already played his bye? If you're trading for guys who've already played on Thursday, you're getting 0s. So you're really going to have to win that trade. Deebo Samuel, Ted McMillan, and RJ Harvey for Bucky Irving. Now, we can't answer this directly because we don't know rosters. We don't have time to go through this. I guess the real question is Bucky Irving to you, Russ, a lockdown, got to have running back 1? He did dominate the passing work last week. White wasn't really involved at all. Is it worth giving up 2 weekly starters at the wide receiver position and Deebo Samuel and Ted McMillan and RJ Harvey, who when J.K. Dobbins gets hurt, is very likely to be a very effective weapon for the Broncos?
I wouldn't trade Deebo after the first 2 weeks, Marcus. He looks fantastic. No chubby Deebo. So we have high convictions.
Mm-hmm.
I've given up on that one. He looks fantastic. No chubby Deebo. This is Deebo. He's going to have a fantastic year. And anyone who got him got an enormous value. RJ Harvey, not the time to trade him either. Just wait. So I do like Bucky, but I think you got immense upside on your side there.
Jim C., thanks for reposting the stream, Jim. Dobbins, who we were just talking about, or Aaron Jones, who you spoke of. You spoke of the backfield of the Vikings. These are two running backs. Again, I think the answer is kind of yes. I think they're similar-ish. My lean, because of the heavy involvement of Mason on the ground, would be Dobbins this week over Jones, but it's very close. And again, I think both guys are still usable. What do you think, Russ?
I like Aaron Jones here. I know Jordan Mason took a lot of the touches, but Jones still has that receiving role. Looks great. 30 years old, somehow still grinding it out there. So shout out to Jones. We respect Aaron Jones. And as long as he's healthy, playing this Falcons team, I could see some big receptions.
By the way, they're like 3 spots apart in the rankings over at fantasyguru.com. Final question. We just talked about Pittman. Let's bring up one more time. Pittman or Diggs is an every week wide receiver 3. I understand wanting to have a depth chart and setting a depth chart. I'm not against doing that. But sometimes guys are really close, and it does come down to the matchup. Like for me this week, it's Diggs over Pittman by a mile, because I do worry about Surtain and what the Broncos are going to do to the Colts. After that, are both Pittman and Diggs guys catching 5 or 6 passes for 68 yards? Probably. So it may come down to the matchup frequently. This week, Diggs for sure. Overall, I'll say Diggs, but it's pretty close.
It's a close one, and Patriots have a much easier matchup this week against this Dolphins team. So if they don't do well this week, I might have to rethink my Drake May stance. But with my Drake May stance, this will be a week he crushes.
Let's go, Drake May.
Come on.
Let's do it. Russell Clay of fantasyguru.com. Join us every Friday at 12:30 Eastern Standard Time. We go about an hour Monday through Friday here on the show. A little bit extra here. Appreciate all the questions, comments. Share with your friends about the show, right? Let them know. It's a free product. We're happy to have all of you involved here. We're happy to always have the positivity in the chat room. We appreciate that. Go to fantasyguru.com. Click that subscribe tab at the top right corner. Get signed up for the product. Let us help you in seasonal, in DFS, in wagering, with college football too. Russ is involved there. He's involved with NFL. He's involved with the live streams. He's always on Tuesday nights with the live stream there. And you've also got that little show on SiriusXM, don't you, Russ?
Yeah, I had first show last week. It was really fun. Fensty and the crew there, going game by game, reviewing the 4 p.m. slate and talking football. So really fun. And yeah, of course, all the content on the site. Check out Mike the Beard. I just saw his article get passed to the editor, so that'll be out for college football DFS tomorrow. Go check that out. And yeah, Ray, we're humming. We're a well-oiled machine at Fantasy Guru, and a lot of great content coming out.
Yeah, that shows 6 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, right, on SiriusXM?
Yes, sir.
Tuesdays, the live streams at 7 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. You also hop on other shows from time to time too, right?
This one?
Oh, no, I mean besides this one on SiriusXM. Yeah, do you ever go on the college football show?
Not as often, maybe once or twice a year.
Okay.
On the college football show, Chris Rose, Scott Bondar, and Beard. Great crew there.
You're a great crew. You're great people, Russ. We appreciate you coming on with us every Friday. Thanks for sharing your time with us and your knowledge. And good luck this weekend with all the stuff. And we'll talk to you next week.
Sounds great, Ray.
You got it. Remember, Russell Clay, 6 o'clock Eastern on SiriusXM Fantasy Sports Radio on Sunday nights. Jeff Mann's on SiriusXM Fantasy Sports Radio Monday through Friday from 2 to 5 p.m. I'm with them on Wednesdays. And I'm right here with you Monday, Tuesday, Thursday, Friday, while Justin Fensterman is here with you on Wednesdays, 12 to 1 Eastern on Fantasy Sports Daily. For Russell, I'm Ray. Have a great weekend. Have a great week, too. And we'll see you back here next week on Fantasy Sports Daily, powered by fantasyguru.com.